Zanna Swann, I want to talk to you about story versus accurately being a journalist, because I think they go hand in hand. And it's exciting to have you in the social media management class. I love it because you bring so much to it. But everyone's promoting this idea of capture the story and tell the story. I even teach it. It's in the class. But I realized if you don't have the fundamentals, it's like creating abstract art before you learn how to draw.
Okay, well, if you think about a story, you have a beginning and an end, right?
Right.
So that's the one thing, and you have a plot. But if you're talking about journalism, you have facts and data, and you need to be able to answer the who, what, when, where, how, and why, regardless of what you think the plot is and what the beginning and the end. No one should know what you're trying to make them feel. They should just have the facts so they can make their own decision.
Yeah, I think that's very important. It's almost like when I studied science, you might have a hypothesis, but you hold that loosely because you then want to discover, what does reality tell me? What does the numbers tell me? What does the data tell me? And if you really have commitment to value, it's okay. You may not personally like it, but it's okay if this is wrong. And you found out something very different. And that's where most science was advanced on it. And I think we've fallen in love with, I have an opinion. Now, how do I collect evidence that supports the opinion? Then I live in my own echo chamber. And then guess what? I'm not satisfied because it doesn't really create a rich life itself. And then I'm angry all the time. In marketing, I think it's so important. That's why are you training yourself to know you have a bias? You can't get out of it. And then know it, and then seek to find out accurately what occurred, and then build authentic marketing off of the real stuff you find, not the projected stuff.
Recognizing to have the nose for news, but then again, the who, what, when, where, how, and why, if you just stick to that, and for both sides or all four sides, you have a better chance of being more authentic, more accurate, and more than likely removing elements of your bias from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like I shared in class, I met the gentleman as a restaurant, and he told the little story of how he got started by his grandmother, who was also his mother and a mentor. That, training you here, that's the chances are that's probably accurate data. And now we can market off of that and build stories versus we build something over here in our own little think tank, and then we project it onto someone. That's risky because that's not as sustainable. It's not going to grab people. And I believe authenticity will outrank good marketing or just marketing.
Betty Crocker, right?
Right.
Betty Crocker, a real woman who developed real recipes. Who knows? I doubt it. It was
right.
Marketing spin.
But this guy that's a cook and talks about how he learned to cook by boiling water first, that's when I show it to people, I go, what's the story inside the story that's authentic? Then let's amplify off of that. And though they always pick it. I don't guide them, they pick it. So what's your advice for marketers to get better at making sure they're first accurately collecting the right data before they go off and build their stories?
I still go back to the who, what, when, where, how, and why. That if you just keep that on a piece of paper and you're collecting the data, put that filter on it and answer all of those questions, and then go to the opposing view and do the same thing and keep on with that until you can build your story out.
Mm-hmm. I know it seems simplistic, but I'd love to take a moment in the who, what, where, and how on something. So I'll take the cook. If I were going back to interview him, the who is who he is. right? The what is what is his. Let me actually state, if you were going to interview a new restaurant, a new person, they might want to hire us for marketing, but you're trying to get what is the story there to amplify. We start with the who would be who they are. Is that correct?
Right. Who they are, who his mentor is, who his what was his grandmother, you said?
Yeah, right. That he said was also my mother.
And so all of those are the who's. And if you're trying to create the story, I mean, of course, he talks about how he started, that he learned to boil water.
Right.
But it could be the story within the story as you talk to mom or grandmother and find out that he was always playing in the mud, making mud pies.
Right.
Before he ever learned how to boil water. And then so when one of his prized recipes is a Mississippi mud cake,
right?
Then that, you can build a story with that, with facts. And it shows that, even as a child, he probably had this passion for cooking.
I love that. So in the who, you look to see, maybe I should research a little further.
Exactly.
Down this road. Okay, can I talk to the grandmother? Is that he brought it up? Is she available? Or one of the mentors he mentioned, is he available to talk to? Excellent. And then the next one, who, what would that, where would we start with that?
Well, I think, again, just the interviews, getting them talking, them being, if you plug in the who's, and then the what's is cooking. He says he started boiling water. Mm-hmm. How do you, tell me a story what does that, when you think about this person, what does that bring to mind? Mm-hmm. And then let them talk, because once they start talking, the story will more than likely, of course, you're trying to figure out his beginning and end, right? Mm-hmm. His beginning was, he started a business. Mm-hmm. He learned to boil water. Mm-hmm. And now he has a viable restaurant business. Mm-hmm. But there are other things that drew him to that rather than, building something else.
Right.
Building garages. I mean,
right.
There was a reason why that became his passion, and trying to elicit that from the other people, but not trying to force it. Right. Because, us talking about him has brought out, some potential angles, but you may find something else once you start talking to the other folks.
That's excellent. So that's the what. So what can lead to more information, and your goal is to collect as much rich as possible. And then the where. Where would, that would be, I guess, the location itself, right?
Exactly.
What other aspects?
You also have to be prepared in your who, what, when, where, how, and why. When you talk to his mentors, mm-hmm. they say maybe he's not going to be successful, mm-hmm. because he burnt every time he boils water, it boils away and evaporates. Mm-hmm. And so they're afraid he's going to burn down his food truck or whatever, mm-hmm. or his kitchen. Mm-hmm. So, as long as you're not trying to paint him to be the next Betty Crocker.
Right.
There may be other things that come out, and you may find some negative things as well that you would have to be prepared. And talking to some of his customers, if he's right. there, if he has customers, or the community, are they excited for this restaurant to come in? Mm-hmm. Maybe they're not. Maybe where it is an area where they're hoping it's going to become a park or something. Right. So there could be other stories within the story that makes it negative as well.
And this would be useful even if he hired us to market, because then we would have a conversation of, hey, we've got this negative potential out there. We have to be prepared with the argument if it comes up. Who, what, where, and then so the where has the context of it. So it's not just where, location, and then what. I think do we cover what? Yeah, what are we talking about, right? What are some questions? Let's take our little restaurant example. What would we want to be collecting in data around the what?
Right. What type of what type of food,
Right.
What type of service.
Mm-hmm.
Is it pickup only? Is it tablecloth service, table service, fast food, that type of thing, as well as what types of events, what hours, what types of events could be. Do you have happy hours? Do you have bands or music, or is it family friendly? And are you going to do some family events and whatnot?
Yeah, that's great. Who, what, where, how, and what's our last one? Did I get who, what, where, when?
When are you opening? When are you open, as
Right.
in hours? When are you opening? And when are various specials occurring? When are you when are you having any special events and that sort of thing? When are you hiring?
And how. So we got four, I think we got them all, and how they're doing it. But what I wanted to demonstrate is there are many layers to those. You often hear those name dropped, but what does that actually mean? And that's the data that you want to make sure, especially in marketing, you grab, and then I listen for what's the story. And so many things, it looks like someone went in a committee and came up with a story, and they're trying to fit it on instead of, okay, let's find out what's there and amplify that and draw it out. That's what we teach in the class too. Find out what's there. And, it's like if it's comfort food, we may not be promoting the health aspects of the food, and then amplify it and pull it out. That's why I think what we talked about is being accurate, knowing you have a bias, being accurate in getting the data is a foundation for creating a compelling piece for marketing.
Right. And I think too, it's almost like you have a puzzle. And I believe that's what journalists has become somewhat today, in that you have a puzzle. So you see the picture of what that is, and you have all the pieces, and you're making them conform to be that picture, rather than you're taking a vase and some mugs and you're smashing them to put them in a mosaic to see what picture will come as a result of the pieces that you've been given.
Or another wonderful analogy you just gave is the puzzle of you don't even know what it looks like, and you're attempting to get the pieces to see what makes it truly fit, what fits there, what is there. I think that's excellent. Well, this is terrific time and great to have you in the class. Are you enjoying the class?
Oh, I'm definitely enjoying the class. Giving me a lot of stuff to think about.
Yeah, because you already had many years of expertise. Excellent. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Good to be here. Bye, Martin.